Well, with the wind whistling in the trees, it's a good day to do some tackle prep. And something that still seems to give a lot of anglers problems is picking the right jig head to go with their soft plastics. It's not rocket science, but if you get it wrong, you won't catch as many fish. It begins with picking a good brand of jig head. And these Mustad data jigs are great. The design of the head means that they've got a great action when you jig them. They're also made from a nice hard material so they don't get dinged up too much. They've got a good hook keeper, and of course, being Mustad, they've got one of the best hooks in the business. It's sharp, strong, and really gets the job done. So I trimmed that little squidgy shad down just to give it a thinner profile. Put it on one of the Mustad jig heads, and bingo. It's a matter of necessity when you haven't got your thin metal profile jigs and baitfish profiles and slugs with you. You can improvise and cut something down from a plastic. This is quite a nice spotty mackerels. Grabbed it. I'm only on a nylon leader here, so there's a good chance of getting bitten off, but still got him at the moment. Oh, he's a nice spotty. Oh, looks like a good corner of the jaw. Hook up. He's not done yet. Oh! And Dane's in down the back as well. What are you calling it for, Dane? Big Queenie, have you? There's a mixture here. There we go. Nice spotty mackerel. On the Mustad jig head. Given my already cut down shad a bit of a short back and sides, he's knocked the tail off. Still reckon I might get another one on that. Oh, there's creams here everywhere. I'll see if I can get this guy off. We're going to get him on the ice and keep him. Another factor that not enough people think about is the way that the soft plastic that you put on a jig head actually influences the sink rate. If I was to throw that bare jig head in the water, it'd sink at a certain sink rate, so many meters per second or whatever, depending on the density of the water and how fast the boat was drifting. But as soon as I put a soft plastic on that tail, it slows the sink rate. The soft plastic acts as a parachute. That might be quite minor in the case of a very slimline plastic without any dangly bits and without much action. That's going to sink at a very similar rate to that bare jig head. But as my plastic becomes bulkier and has more action, it's going to slow that sink rate up until I get to something like this, which has got dangly bits hanging off it everywhere, same size jig head, but it's probably going to sink at about half the rate of that bare jig head. So bear that in mind when you're picking the right jig head for the conditions as well. Yep, there you go. Woo-hoo. Woo-hoo.
It's got to be real quick and erratic.
Oh, great jump.
That's awesome. That is unreal.
I just got it.
Yeah, double hook up.
Woo-hoo.
Oh man, my fish is getting that.
Mine might be a mackerel. That's a bigger one than the last one.
That's not that clean.
When it comes to weight, we need enough weight to be able to cast to where the fish are, and also to get our soft plastic down to the depth where the fish are holding. You want to be able to get to the bottom, but you want the lure to take a little bit of time to get there. That's why they make so many different weights of jig head, even in the same size hook. You need to play around with these variables, try different weights, different shapes and sizes of soft plastic to get down there on the day. Be adaptable and think about what your lure is actually doing in the water column. hemorrhaging line here. Might have to go after this one.
Yeah.
Just hit the lecky in the direction it's pointing now, full speed. Thank you. Wow, that's a lot of line. I haven't got a real heavy drag, but I'm only on 10-pound braid on this one. We're using a variety of different approaches with our soft plastics on these Mustad jig heads. Going really, really fast and erratic works, but also just letting it dead drop through the melee has also worked. Getting up closer on this fish now, I've got queenfish swimming around everywhere here. I'll be really interested to see what this is. Tell you what, Dane, that was a bit of fun on my my flathead gear, which is what this is, 10-pound braid, 3000 size reel.
Certainly took some line.
It's only a really short leader, so just not even bother leadering him, just go for the tail. I'll get him up on the surface for you. Oh, look at that. That's so much fun. Thanks, mate. Oh, wow. I'm chuffed with that on that gear. Just goes to show how good those Mustad jig heads are. Look at that, no deformation in the hook whatsoever. They're fine gauge, incredibly sharp, but they're also strong. I mean, I'm only using 10 or 12-pound braid here, and I was pulling pretty hard on him, as hard as you can with that gear, and that jig head handled it beautifully. There are so many good things about these Mustad Data jig heads, and one of the things I like the most is they actually have the weights stamped into the head, so I can pick this up out of my tackle box and instantly know that it's 42 grams. And then there are 21 grams and 10.5 grams and 7 grams, and you need a fair range if you're going to fish in different situations, different depths of water, different currents and drift rates in your boat. You really need that full range of jig heads, so stock up with some of these Mustad Data jig heads. They're one of the best in the game.